Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Aaron.
This is our show, CryptoCosm, where I talk about the astrological forecasts.
And I bring you your crypto news.
But today we're doing something a little different. As we're talking about the crypto news, we've been talking about these retrogrades since the beginning. It's honestly, it's what kind of brought on the whole show. You know, I was doing just straight up astrology reports on YouTube before on a completely different name. And as I'm looking at this retrograde coming up in December of 2017, and I thought, man, if this crypto world knew about these cycles and understood some of this stuff happening and knew about that Saturn shift, it'd give them a huge edge on what's going on. And it's literally what inspired us to create the show. And I said, Aaron, check these dates out, check these things out. And the more we talked about it, he's looking at me like I'm a freaking just, what? And it's just like, it's just understanding a different set of charts with a different kind of rules that are reflecting the same kind of thing. So
it's two of those things that you just put together that are just so crazy it just might work.
and it certainly does. So the more I talked to him and asked him, because I said, I understand that our money is changing. I understand that I need to get involved in the crypto world. And, last year I was talking with him much more about some of this stuff. And the more we grew and talked about it, it was just like, it just made more sense. And then December, it hit and I said, okay, let's do the show. And we got our first one out in January 8th of this year. And we talked about the retrogrades. And since then, since day one, we've been talking about these. And we've wanted to bring you these kind of like showing you on the screen what that is, what that entails, and now we're finally able to do it. We didn't think this was coming out till next week, but again, that Mercury and Aries and that Venus in Aries were accelerating. Mars up there in Sagittarius. It's more information from many different angles and all these aspects. So it's just like, all right, well, whether you're ready or not, here you go, boys, let's do this stuff. So we are finally ready to show you. Now, we're going to go in here, and here, let's look at this. This is December, follow the cursor right here on the right-hand side, December 2nd of 2017, all right? Now, I know if you've never seen an astrology chart before, it's super cool. Look up your own chart. It's really fun to do, and the more that you watch with us and follow, you're going to learn more about this, and it's going to be really cool as you start to see your own, these own patterns emerge within it. So now right here at the top of the screen, this symbol right there, that little antenna, it's like a little ball with two antennas. That is Mercury the messenger, all right? At 29 degrees Sagittarius. Now, right next to it is Saturn at 28 degrees Sagittarius, okay? So just a day prior, we can see here, just a couple days prior, they met up. Mercury is a fast-moving little planet. So that's the 27th. A couple days later, it passes them up. Here's December 1st. Okay, watch this little clock right there. December 1st. Now, December 2nd, we're going to see a little S. Boom. That S that popped right there. What that means is it's stationed retrograde, which means basically that means Mercury is stopped. It's moving at the exact same speed as Earth, and it's just stopped.
Now, what happened when it stopped?
Well, on December 2nd, we had just seen a flux of people looking into crypto. I mean, it had just right over on the 27th, like I showed you a couple days prior, when Saturn and Mercury had met up. It's just like we had seen all over the news, crypto, and all of a sudden people want to jump in and look at it. And on the 2nd, it was a kind of an interesting time. It's just like it broke its $10,000. Mm-hmm. It's climbing up to about 11, and then the retrograde happened. Now, anytime, let's get this just right out there. Anytime that we see a Mercury retrograde, and this happens 3 times a year, okay, the most common things that astrologers will tell you is like your computer is going to malfunction, your car is going to break, electronics are going to break. Mercury is the messenger, but it also has to do with that trading of information, trading of goods. Okay, why it's super important in our crypto community. So it's also a time when people act erratically, irresponsibly almost. You know, they're too fast forward with things because they don't have all of the information that they need to move forward to make, you know, a proper educated guess.
It's almost like they're acting without thinking, you would say.
Exactly. And they're following the trend. And this is in a fire sign. And this year, 2018, all 3 Mercury retrogrades are in fire signs.
Woo!
Which means an accelerated aspect of kind of acting without thinking. All right, now let's go back to this chart here. Now just follow 29 degrees. Now everything else that you see is going to be moving forward, okay? As this planet right here, Mercury, and we're gonna see a little R happen right here, it's gonna start moving backward, all right? Now let's follow the ball. The 3rd, boom. Now later on in the 3rd, it started the retrograde cycle, but the 4th, okay? We're stopped at 28 degrees, or excuse me, Saturn moving to 28 degrees, and Mercury's now back at 26 degrees, 25 degrees, 23 degrees, okay? It's picking up momentum, moving backward, 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 backward. Now here we are on, let's see, the 17th, right there on the 17th, what did we see? Well, not only do we have this amazing Sagittarius party, here, let me switch this over to ours. So it's just like, more information, more learning, more education, all this stuff. But while it's happening as the retrograde's happening, it's extremely difficult to see what in the world. So here it is on the 17th, the moon and Mercury meet up, okay? The sun is there, Venus is there, Saturn is at its 29th degree. And what had happened? It was the highest that we had seen Bitcoin, period.
19,900 and change, ladies and gentlemen.
It was it's the highest it was absolutely had ever been.
But then came along Saturn.
And at the 29th degrees, and just this last episode we talked about Chiron. Chiron's in its 28, 29 degrees in Pisces, which is really affecting us and like the psychosis of this. Okay, the 20th and 29th degrees are the hardest degrees of every single sign. All right, so now Saturn is moving back into its home place. All right, now let's watch that. Let's go back to days here. Saturn is moving back into Capricorn. It's home. So the 29th degree, it's starting to feel that squeeze, okay? The moon and Mercury line up. Emotionally, we think that we're on the ride of the future. This is the high rise, and boom, right afterward. And that was actually a new moon as well. We see there 26 degrees, 27 degrees. So just hours earlier, that was the new moon on the 18th. Now, we usually see the rises on the new moons. We've been talking about this as well, and we're going to show you this coming week. We're going to show you a whole moon-to-moon chart as what's happening in the full moons to the new moons and how those work. But there are, as we've talked about, other planetary aspects that kind of overpower that moonly cycle, which happens every single month, you know, and that big dog Saturn.
Big dog Saturn.
He's the heavy hitter. He's the one, all right, boom. On the 19th, 2953. And then on the 20th, Saturn has moved completely into Capricorn. And it's like saying, well, this is this government money. This is the big pool. You know, we had seen just the day prior to that as it's its last degree of 29 degrees. You know, our president came out and put strict, you know, there's Saturnian words, strict, stable, as well as stubborn, you know, all of the T words. What did he do? He put new tax laws on the crypto world, okay?
Absolutely.
Again, these are no coincidences that these things happen according to these. You know, you dive deep into astrology and these patterns start to emerge. You start to see these things and it's like there are no coincidences in life. You know, things just happen.
It's like the flowing current under the ocean that you can't see, and the undertow, and
right.
How these things are working, but yet they manifest above the water as a small wave or a tidal wave,
right.
Or, you know, we only see just the top, but it kind of gives us a deeper look in terms of expecting certain things to happen, possibly.
Absolutely, and in this one, it's as above, so below. You know, and it's just like we've heard that since we were little kids. Most of us have heard that expression for a very long time, you know, and it's just like, or, you know, if you're religious and it's just like, you know, as in heaven as in earth. And there's some really great territory when it gets into that, but a lot of these, that's referring to what's going on upstairs in the planets is reflecting what's going on down here. All right. back to the chart. So here we are, the 20th, okay? Boom, right there. Mercury is almost at its end. All right, now let's go over another day. One more, the 21st, now the 22nd, that S. Okay, if you remember, Binance just stopped. The market just stopped. Binance, I believe, crashed for an entire day. Was that on the 21st?
And Coinbase was freezing up.
And Coinbase is freezing up, exactly. So let's see exactly what time that Mercury had stationed exactly. All right, it was perfect right around 8 p.m. on the 21st. On the 21st into the 22nd, okay? And that day, the whole market just froze. It's like, what's going on here, all right? And then, boom, that little S right here has disappeared as Mercury is now done with its retrograde cycle, and it's going to now start moving forward. Now, we also see the Sun and Saturn had met up already. Now, what is this here? Venus is our money planet now at that 28th degree. 28th degree. And now it's going to start moving forward. Everything's moving forward together. All right? Boom. And it just had passed it up. Just that quickly on the 25th, Venus and Saturn had met up. Now, as soon as that did on Christmas too, that was, or the 25th, whatever, it's Christmas for a lot of folks. Nonetheless, it put a squeeze on the market. It was more of these like, we're not moving quite as forward as you think you are yet. Everyone thought, there was a lot of speculation right before that, before 2018, Bitcoin's going to break $100,000. There was a lot of talk like this, and it's just like looking right here, that money ball moved in and said hello to Uncle Saturn, and it's just like, yeah, no, you're not. And then we're moving forward.
And Saturn, once again, is the limits.
The limits.
The limits.
And eventually, and it's not till January the 11th, that we finally see Mercury pass out of that retrograde, where it began its retrograde at 28, 29 degrees and is now moved into Capricorn. And again, that Capricorn, now look at this Capricorn party. All right, now Saturn there is going to be there for 2.5 years. Pluto there is going to be there till 2024. Okay, those two guys are going to be hanging out there for a very long time, and as everything else kind of moves forward, and we've seen that it's been stability going on. We've had the eclipses going on here. All right, now these same things are going to happen. Well, as far as the money goes, we'll see. But these same aspects are happening and coming up here March 22nd. Now, what do we see? Here's Mercury down here over in Aries. Okay, there's Venus right there. They're kind of playing a little touch and go, which is a very fun aspect over the next few months. Here's Saturn up here, okay, that 8 degrees. The sun's coming up to square it. We'd already passed that 8 degrees here. You see that little S? Mercury is station retrograde. It's going to start moving backward on the 22nd, okay? Now, so here we go. It's going to start moving backward. And now if you look at these lines as well here, that 16 degrees, that 20 degrees of Venus and Venus and Mercury, these red lines and that square that you see, they're squaring Pluto. It's about transformation right now. We've already tested the limits here with Saturn, and now we're having Mars come up to join Saturn. All right, Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. All right, what that means is it's gonna get down to business. Okay, it's the foot on the gas pedal. It's the accelerator. Mars is let's go, let's move forward. Let's do it. And what is Capricorn? It's the mountain goat going up the top of the mountain. Mars wants to get to the top of the mountain. Mars wants to get to the top of the mountain. It's going to be there for almost 2 months. All right.
So you don't expect that Saturn is going to interact with this retrograde pattern like it did in December.
It's going to be different because it's going to be, as we'll see. That's a great question. Now let's watch what happens here. Now Venus right here, 20 degrees, and we have Pluto at 21 degrees. It's about transformation. All right, transforming the structure of what is into something new. So we're going to see a lot more of these rules and regulations. Things are going to start coming up as we start to stabilize these things, okay? And again, even though that's kind of Saturn's thing, it's a Capricornian thing. It's a capricious stability. Capricious, right, which is kind of a fickle word, which is the derivative of Capricorn, but it's like, capricious is unstable, so it wants stability. That's the whole idea, is it wants that solid ground, okay? And it's just like, I'm gonna take each step very carefully as we move to the top of the mountain. So that's kind of a Capricornian thing, is that stability. And with Pluto being in there, we're transforming this stability and this money planet right there, all right? Now, as we start to move forward, let's go to animate this. There we go. Now, as we start to move forward here, as we see, we are the 22nd of March, which is Thursday, all right? Now, S, all right, station retrograde. We are going to start the retrograde boom right there on the 23rd, and we're starting to move backward. And now, we're going to meet up with the sun, okay? We're coming back into a square with Saturn. Once it hits that, that 14 right there, and now it's kind of in an interesting aspect. It left the square to Pluto, and it's now squaring Saturn again. And Mars is up there, but Mars is up there helping Saturn, saying like, yes, let's get more of these regulations. As people, it's going to be a time where the stability comes to kind of fruition, where these things come to light, which to me is a good thing. So it's just like, you're going to have this little helper. And again, what did we just talk about? That right on the 14th, people in the crypto world are saying, what's going on? We need these regulations. We need this stuff to come forward. Okay, Mars is the serious helper of that. So these three being up there for, this being up there for 2 months with those guys is going to seriously help. While this is moving backward here, people are still going to be saying, okay, let's kind of move faster than I am ready to move right now. And this happens. Let's keep watching. Boom, it passes through the sun. Moving backward, 8 degrees, 7 degrees, 7 degrees, 6 degrees. And it's going to go all the way. We're at the 10th. Here's the 11th. We're still squaring Saturn now, okay? So we're going to be adding more structure, more stability as all of this happens. Now we have the new moon, 26 degrees Aries on the 15th, which is the very last day of the retrograde cycle. And you see that S there again. So that means it's station direct, meaning the next day, come the 16th, we're moving forward, okay? No more S, no more R. We are now moving forward. We still have Jupiter up there in its retrograde cycle. That's going to be going all the way until June. And then it's going to be moving out officially come the middle of November. So we're still, for several more months, we're still, again, playing this game with other people's money. Jupiter and other people's money, it's just saying more. We're not done yet. The Jupiter retrograde is not the craze. It's the Mercury retrogrades that are the craze. It's the Venus retrograde that's a super craze, because people want to spend money, because money is what makes me happy. And if I buy this new mug, or if I buy this new laptop, or if I buy this new thing, I'll be happy then. Okay? That's coming this year. Stay followed. I'll tell you when. But right now we're talking about the Mercury retrogrades. So that ends now on the 15th, and the 16th we start moving forward. Okay? And that, again, that same time that happens, we have that new moon right there at 26 degrees, which we see, again, a rise in the market. So this entire retrograde cycle, to me, when looking back to what had happened in December and what's coming up now, the main difference is that Saturn's going to be there kind of helping, instead of it being like a free-for-all, like I think it's kind of going to give it a little bit more boundaries and guidelines, as we're coming into this retrograde cycle.
Sure.
And we're seeing that. And we're seeing that on
We are, with the SEC and the CFTC, and really putting down the boundaries on these commodities and securities, and what is what and where does this lie moving forward. I mean, they got some gray area, and it really needs cleaning up for these things to get into motion. And I'm curious to see, how this all plays out. I really am.
I definitely see a big spike coming. Everybody's talking about this bull run, and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I see us going back up. Are we expect
Bear run down,
excuse me,
bull
bear
run up.
Bear run. People are talking about the fear of this bear run. Thank you. And it's just like, no, we're coming back up is what I see here in these charts. Is we're coming back up, but we're coming back up a little bit more organized. But again, that's that Capricorn square to Aries. The Capricorn wants to make sure that everything is in line and in order. And Aries is like, dude, I'm ready. Let's go. And it's like, okay, let's kind of work those angles out with each other, and it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be more strategically planned, kind of a Mercury retrograde.
So I got one. So a big Saturn square that we talked about was just a couple days before the Jupiter retrograde.
Yes,
and that
absolutely.
We saw some main dips. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, are we repassing through that square?
We are.
In this
We
pattern?
absolutely are.
So what are your feelings of passing through that square again? Or
So,
is it
let's
like
go back,
rewinding through the square more or less? How does that work in terms of the astrological?
Well, let's look right here on the 9th, or excuse me, on April the 4th, okay? April the 4th, we have Saturn at 9 degrees. Now, Mars there at 10 degrees, okay? That's a serious conjunction. Even though it's 1 degree off, we still consider a conjunction within 6 degrees. And then we have Mercury right here at that 9 degrees, retrograde. So that is going to be that perfect square, but it's helping. That Mars is helping. That Mars was not there before. Mars was up there squaring Chiron. Mars was up in Sagittarius squaring Chiron, the wounded healer. And it's just like healing our wounds. Again, it's like more about learning and about, bringing this into my environment so I know about this so I can better put this foot forward for this, So that was a harder angle. So, the Mercury square Saturn and Chiron square Mars, it was harder. It was more like self-defeating. Here, this is a very positive aspect. It's a very, very, very favorable aspect.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm thoroughly excited. We're in for a wild ride, and I can't stress enough, like, this is the time between the 22nd and the 15th. Really, really do your diligence in making sure that if you're doing trading, because we're going to watch that bouncing ball, there's a ton of money to be made. There's a ton of money that's going to be lost, and there's a ton of money to be made during this retrograde cycle. And, I always copy, what do you say? It's like copy and paste
Copy and paste, check it 3 times, slow down. Or if you're a day trader, I'm sure you got some stick to your plans. Make sure you're not deviating from your plans. Do your own research. I'm going to be making my trades before that period and solidifying any of my trades because I'm more of a long-term holder. And I make sure I get that kind of stuff out of the way before these retrogrades come.
Right, because if you buy before the retrograde, like right now when these prices are low, and then all of a sudden the retrograde happens and everyone's like, buy, 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 buy. It's just like, it's a huge time if you're holding to make money. And but there is definitely a bouncing ball to this, and it's really kind of fun to watch, and you can see it if you know how to surf it. You got to be an experienced surfer, a crypto surfer, in order to, to kind of really capitalize and make a lot of money. And there's a lot out there that are brilliant at doing so. And we just want to urge you to be careful.
We are not financial advisors. You guys, make sure you do your research. Make sure you guys are investing with that money that nothing is guaranteed in life. I mean, we saw in the last retrograde for up until it was going till the 22nd, but once Saturn came around
and moved into Capricorn
on the 18th, it was just like. So, depending on the larger forces at play and stuff like that, we want to use this as a tool to aid us and guide us and give us another perspective while we're hoping for these bull runs and these price spikes to take control. But I think if Bitcoin even touches down a little bit more earlier before this retrograde, hopefully it'll be even a better buy-in price for getting in some of these price spikes.
Right, and we got the new moon coming up on the 17th, and then just a couple days later is the start of the retrograde cycle. So
Game on.
it is.
Party on, Wayne.
It is on. It is on. Through April 15th, excuse me. And we're going to be doing a special promotion. If you share this video through this retrograde cycle, if you go onto our CryptoCosm Show page, okay, there's a group page, but that's more about, the group community sharing and whatnot. But if you go onto our CryptoCosm Show page and you share this video through this whole retrograde thing, I am going to be giving a free mini chart reading, okay, to one person every single week. I'm going to give you a month ahead. It comes up on your phone. It's super cool. It's going to tell you the transits that are happening
It's great.
on a daily basis, as well as it's going to tell you transits on your personal chart. So it's going to say, okay, well, this Mercury is here, and it's, maybe that's actually squaring your natal Mercury or your natal Saturn or whatever it may be, and it's pretty cool. So
It's like a personalized horoscope just for you.
It's just exactly for you, which is way more, defined than like flipping in the back page of a Metro Times or the back of a magazine or just logging on to whatever it is. It's tailored to you. So you're going to get a free 1-month calendar, okay, and a free mini reading that I'm going to do a video reading for you.
But you got to share it from the Facebook, and we'll put the link down here in the description.
Yep,
Just for you
CryptoCosm
guys.
Show. So thanks so much. Happy trading. We're still going to be back next week. We're going to show you a couple more of these, the new moon, full moon calendar is coming. But as we always like to do, give us a little positivity,
And
Aaron.
here it is. Here it is. What you resist persists.
It's the truth.
What you resist persists. Carl Jung. Don't
So
forget
good.
to like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you share this time around because we got some bonuses coming your way. Hit that little notification down at the bottom of the screen so you don't miss a beat. Thanks again for joining us on
CryptoCosm.